Hi, Bill Naylor here. This is a presentation with some ideas and tools on how to use your portable GigaStor, and just to make it easier to use for proof of concept and just kind of daily use for demos and so forth. So we know that the portable presents some challenges. Sometimes you're sitting there typing and trying to get things configured using the keyboard and the mouse, the trackpad that's built in. And this takes time and it results in a lot of fumbling in front of the customer. And we want to minimize that. So this presentation really is designed to help you minimize that, shorten the time used for setup and config and spending more time with the customer as a result. So the solution here is to put some things on the screen of the GigaStor to help you out. So it's all about that. First, a moment to talk about using the portable for a POC. Basically, think of this as a mini POC whenever possible. And we do this by essentially licensing it for Apex Enterprise, and that way you have an entire suitcased solution to bring in. So the idea is to make the desktop work for you. So there's a couple of tools here we talk about. BG Info is one of them. The other one, the other set, is really a set of shortcuts, and we'll get into some details on what these are all about in a few minutes. BG Info is put out by a subsidiary of Microsoft, and essentially it just, when you boot it up or whenever you run it, it writes a new screen desktop using your existing background and then exits from memory. So we're going to talk about how to set it up and place it so that you can run it manually or when it boots up. The shortcuts are listed here. Basically, these are desktop shortcuts to, among other things, monitor or start or stop services, also for reboot and shutdown. So basically, these are just kind of click on that shortcut and it solves a problem for you rather than having to open a command window and type out these commands and test for things. So the installation and setup, basically it's 5 steps, and you're going to copy some things over from various directories, and it'll show you each step in sequence, and just follow those and you'll end up with a couple of directories on the desktop. One is BATS, one is BG Info, and then you'll end up with the shortcuts as well. And in here we show you how to do that and what the names are. Step 4 lists what the other shortcuts are that are needed. And these are optional. If you're not going to use Apex, you don't have to put those on. But it's easier doing it this way than lots of clicking through the Microsoft management management of services interface. So the very last step is to run BG Info one time, and that gives you access to it. Just be sure and click in that dark blue area, and that will stop the 10-second timeout of that, and then you can modify it, put your own information in. So this completes the installation, and next step is to try it out live. So now we're going to take a look at the actual live screen of my portable GigaStor, the way I've got this set up. So you see here the BATS directory and the BG Info directory as a result of following the list of instructions. And then what the BATS directory looks like is just a series of batch files that that run each one of those queries or commands from the shortcuts. The BG Info directory just has the BG Info and the setup file in it. And if you look at these shortcuts, the observer, start, stop, and status query, every one of these will run a command that'll leave this command window open so that you can see what it determined. So it tells you that service was running, for example. So now I'm going to take a look at my GigaStor, going into the probe mode and looking at the configurations here. Under probe options, the Windows service is currently not running. So this is where you turn that on or off. I'm going to leave it the way it is for now. And if I click service stop, what that is going to give us a message, and it's going to say stopped. Okay, even though it wasn't running, it just went out there and said, if you are running, stop. Okay, had we done the query, it would have said not running or something. But each one of these, just leaves that on the screen, so you can always kind of check instead of walking through all of that pointing and clicking to do the managing of services. There is a good reason to do that, to go into the management of services, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the whole idea behind these is just to do it a little bit quicker. So here, if I go in and I look at managing the services, just as an example, if I were to say install Apex on a customer's machine, so we don't want to have Apex running on the portable for purposes of a mini POC, I might want to go in here and turn it to manual so that in case the box does get rebooted, it stays in the off position if we disable it, right? Automatic means it's going to come back on if it gets rebooted. So just a note there. Now let's focus on the right hand side. This is the stuff that the BG Info program puts up there. So you can see I've added my name and contact information. We also can see where you have like the IP address, the gateway. It tells me when the screen was last refreshed, and it also tells me when the box was last booted. And so there's a bunch of things in there that you can do. So in the instructions, when you get to that point, when you look at the BG Info application, you can go in there and play around and put up whatever you want to have on the screen. I just wanted to have the OS version, service pack, and what the processor looked like, just kind of the basic stuff like that. Now for reboot and shutdown, these are, I guess, obvious what they do. I'm never sure what the extension is, the right extension is to say reboot versus shutdown, because the command is shutdown. So these make that easy, and by the way, they don't give you any a chance to say no. Both of them are just immediate. They just execute. So that's pretty much a wrap, an overview of the portable toolkit that we put together. Hope you enjoy it and hope you find it useful. Thanks for watching.